Welcome to the Property Now podcast, where we talk all things property, investment, and new homes with your host, Matt Elol.
Yes, there's bad debt. Yes, there's good debt. The good debt is not bad. It will never send you broke, ever. Rich people rely on debt to expand, because without debt, it's pretty hard to expand. It's almost impossible.
If you want to learn more about what's happening in the market and how to benefit from property investment, then go no further. We dig deep as to why our sector is a key to building financial security and safety for your family. Never before has it been more important to understand the playing field than now.
And I would say this is probably going to raise some eyebrows with some people, but your family home is not an asset. It is a liability. It's taking money out of your pocket from a cash flow position.
So let's get on with the show. Happy listening, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hello, and welcome to the Property Now podcast. I'm your host, Matt Elol, and today we are welcomed by a very special guest, Ryan Smits, Sales Director for Open Lot. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate. It's great to have you on board. I think this is our second run at this. We failed the first attempt. I think I got stuck in the city because of protests or something. Was it late last year?
Yeah, something like that. And then we tried to reschedule, and then I was having a baby.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your
We got-
second?
Second baby, yes.
Second. And you've put yourself into the position of renovating whilst having two young children.
We've gone down that path. I'm not sure I would recommend doing both at the same time, maybe individually, but we're getting through it.
Enter at your own risk, people, if you want to renovate whilst having two young children. It's not advised.
No, absolutely.
But I'm sure it will be worth it once it's done.
Yes, fingers crossed it is coming together. So nice to see some progress.
Yeah. No, that's great, mate. Really good to have you on board. Better late than never. So today we're going to talk about all things land, a little bit of building, and definitely keen to learn more about Open Lot and understand more about what's happening with Open Lot at the moment. I can see lots happening, which is very exciting. So you're doing some good things, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're this year has been a real game changer for us in the sense that whilst the site has been growing in what's been a challenge market, particularly here in Victoria, but we're moving into the builder space and unlocking new products where we can talk to the market and hopefully help buyers as well in their search and in their journey to find not only the right parcel of land, but then be aligned with the right builders.
Very good, mate. We've got your market update, which we'll get into in a little bit, but why don't we start with just understanding a little bit more about yourself? Tell us a bit about you, how long you've been in the property industry, what's your role at Open Lot? Obviously, I said you're sales director,
Yep.
but we'd love to learn a little bit more about you, mate, and where you come from, and
Yeah.
so that the listeners can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So my background, I started at Open Lot 3.5 years ago, and prior to that, I was actually working at realestate.com.au in the developer team.
Sure, everyone knows that business.
Yeah. So quite ingrained into the Australian culture, but look, fantastic business. Nothing but positive things to say about working there and seeing what they're doing for potential buyers, but. For me, I worked in the developer space, which was dealing with, land developers, builders. When I first started, we had apartment developers in our portfolios as well. And then that got segmented. So we really focused on, we had two teams. Myself, I was working the house and land team. And then obviously there was another team for apartments. But been working in the house and land space for coming up to, I think I was trying to work it out the other day. It's a bit scary. It's like 13 years now. Yeah, I look back to when I first started and I had no idea. But along the way, I've tried to ask a lot of questions, be curious and learn as much as I can about, why builders do what they do and why land developers do what they do. But I moved across to, as I said, Open Lot 3.5 years ago. I'm now in the sales director role at Open Lot. And my job, my role, I don't see it as a role. I see it as, just trying to help people within the business succeed, and we've got a really strong sales team, particularly across Victoria, where we've got 3 sales members. We've got 2 in New South Wales, and then another gentleman up in Queensland, and they're all kicking goals, which is really, really exciting. I think for us as a competitor to the incumbents, what we've been able to achieve has been really, really exciting.
I've seen you've expanded, so you are growing, which is great. It's a good sign of a good business.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. So, obviously, how long have you been in New South Wales and Queensland for now?
So Victoria, the business OpenLot actually started in 2019 by Chi Chen. He's our CEO and founder.
Yeah.
He actually
Good man. Good man.
He is, yeah, great guy. One of the most intelligent guys I've worked with in my time in the property space. But
He's meant to have come on here as well. We'll get him on at some point.
there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I'll get stuck into him. But for the business, it started 2019 with Chi, and then he spent some time working for. He was also at REA as well, so he kind of cut his teeth there to some degree in that property space. But for him, he actually saw a huge opportunity to really disrupt the market because there wasn't a player, a platform or a listings platform that really showcased the entire housing development market. And I think, you particularly if you're a first home buyer coming in, it can be really overwhelming. It's a fragmented market in terms of what you're searching for. There's so many different land developers that you can deal with, so many different builders you can deal with, project marketers, buy fair property. It really is overwhelming. So for him, it was like he went through that journey himself and thought rather than having a platform where there's, I can go to a suburb and I can try and find some estates, why don't we create something where, we've just got every single housing development that is showcased. So from a consumer, you can go onto OpenLot, you can go into a particular suburb and see every single development that is there. So whether it's a land development, whether it's a house and land development, or a townhouse development, we showcase that, and then you can drill down into that area, pick on the development. You go, hey, I want to be near the freeway here, the location. Click on it, and then make an inquiry. But yeah, for us, that all started 2019 in Victoria, and then obviously COVID hit. So that was somewhat yeah. It's crazy to think back to that times, but you probably remember we couldn't fly interstate. Victorians, we were locked down. Like
you couldn't go down the road.
No, yeah, you
well,
couldn't.
You could, but
you'd get stopped, and if you didn't live in that area, you'd get told to go back or get fined. So I think looking back on that now, that seems like it was 10 years ago type thing. But for us as a business, started in Victoria, grew a lot of the brand here, and it was starting to really pick up, and then moved into the New South Wales market. That would have been circa 2021, end of 2021, when I joined. And actually, my first client was a New South Wales customer, believe it or not, because there was some restriction of trade that I could do when I left REA. And then for Queensland, we came to market with an offering, or rolled out Queensland. It was circa 2023, maybe 2022. I'm getting, maybe there's a year or two there, but we kind of, as we moved up, we went up the East Coast, and then we were also in South Australia and WA.
So tell me how it actually works for those who don't know OpenLot. So we understand, obviously, you've got access to every development. Like, how do you do that? Because I would imagine that's the genius of Chi, putting that together from a data technological standpoint. But how does that actually work? How do you actually do it?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways that we do that. Ideally, we would love for a developer who we're already working with, or we've got a relationship with, where they go, we've purchased this estate, or we've got this land banking. We're looking, it's going to be approved pretty soon. We're looking to bring that to market in Q3 2026 or something. So we can start updating any information, whether that's imagery or brand and things like that. But ultimately, we pull the data that is submitted into local city council. So let's say we'll use Stockland. Stockland has put a planning submission into Casey City Council for 500 lots. Because it's all publicly sourced information, you can actually go to Casey City Council and see what planning submissions have been put in there. And then we go, okay, that's Stockland. Let's create a listing, and it might be 123 Smiths Road. And then we put it up there, and it has a bit of a placeholder. So you can start to, as a consumer, if you're looking in, Casey City Council region, you can start to see the pins on the map. And we showcase whether it's in planning or it's coming soon or it's selling or it's sold. So we try and get a whole life cycle of what that development looks like. And so as a consumer, you go, okay, we're wanting to live there. You might not be ready to live there, but hey, in a year's time or 2 years' time, that's the location that we're looking for. It gives them the opportunity to see actually what's coming up. So
And do you have someone that's checking council submissions? Is that how it works in that respect, or are you speaking to the developer directly, or
yeah, so
bit of
as I
both?
said, there's a bit of both.
Bit of
Ideally,
both,
the
yeah.
developer, you would hope that they would go, hey, we've got another one coming up. We'd love to get in there, put a few placeholder cards in there that are aligned to their brand. We do have a research team that goes through. They source that through, as I said, the council submissions. There's a couple of other platforms we use as well, paid platforms that to confirm the data. And sometimes it's really random. You might see an article that pops up in the AFR or the Herald Sun, and you're like, okay, well, we didn't know anything about that, and so we normally put that information, create a listing, obviously get in touch with the developer and say, hey, we've got this up and running now. And the beauty of OpenLot as well, and we're kind of moving to more a B2B sense, but it gives the developer an opportunity to almost build a pipeline. So you've got a placeholder up there. It might not be ready for, it could be 6 months, but there's people who are interested. They either want to keep updated as to the progress of that development or find out a little bit more. It's an opportunity for them to make an inquiry. We then send that inquiry directly to the developer, and then obviously they process that or service that as they normally do.
So that's a big advantage for a consumer because they're able to forward plan. Like it might be that they're not able to get finance for 12 months because they're saving a deposit, or they're transitioning into a new job or whatever it is. So that through OpenLock gives them the opportunity to really understand the landscape of what's happening.
Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely. Yeah, it's it's a different way of doing things. And look, there's some people that kind of disagree with it, and I think it's because we can go back to the REA days or even Domain. They're two big listing portals that have been around for 25 plus years. So you grew up knowing and just that they're a trusted brand. Whereas we've been a competitor that's come in trying to really change the model. And we're now, the longer we're in market, the more we're proving that it actually works and really disrupting the whole house and land space. But also going back to the reason why Chi built it, it's really to help consumers in their research and discovery, and making it as easy as possible, rather than having to go to 10 different websites or 10 drive out west and spend your whole weekend just driving down roads and waiting to see a display suite or what's coming up on the billboards. This is an opportunity, where we're in the digital age now. It makes complete sense to bring it all into one platform, showcase it.
It's interesting with data these days. It's like there's so much information available, which is amazing. Like let's be honest, it's amazing, but it's also overwhelming. It's also hard to go, okay, cool. Well, there's 35 pages of information on this topic that I've searched, or 100 pages, whatever it is, but which one do I go to? Usually people
Yeah.
just go to the top one or the top two or whatever it is. But if there's a platform that has everything that they need in one space and they get familiar with that, it's a big advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now, gone are the days where you'd go into Google and you'd type in what you're looking for, and then you go to page 2, page 3 type thing. You literally, and if you go to Google now, they've got Gemini, which is AI. It basically comes up with an answer, and you're like, well, I actually don't. It's disruptive to a listings portal because you almost don't need to go into the actual website. It brings it up for you pretty quickly.
I
But
don't think they want you to go on the website now.
what Google don't?
They want you on Google longer, so they don't actually transition you to the website as easily these days.
Yeah.
That's what I learned recently.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time we're in. Obviously, digital age, but the whole AI piece. I'm not sure if you've seen much of it or read about it, but agentic search, where you can type in pretty much what you want to find. Like, let's say you're a house and land buyer and you're wanting to, I want to build a 4-bedroom home. I want it to be north facing, in the southeast, and prompt it with all these things. There's different searches that will actually go through, scour the whole internet, go to OpenLot, go to, sales websites of land developers or builders, REA's domains of the world, and we'll come back and we'll find listings that fit that search,
Yeah.
which is pretty
It's
cool.
almost like a buyer's agent.
Yeah,
We
pretty
have
much.
to,
Yeah,
we have to be
shortcutting it.
careful.
Yeah, it's got some interesting applications, that's for sure.
Trust the humans, people. Trust the humans.
Yeah, AI is really, really handy in terms of, you know, if you're doing research or, trying to do things that normally would take a human a long time to do in terms of, more admin applications. But I think there's a lot of value that it holds. But at the end of the day, who do you want to buy from? Do you want to buy from, an AI where, they might be right, but where's like this is could be one of your biggest transactions of your whole life.
Yeah.
Do you really at this point, maybe down the track, maybe when they become more humanoid type thing? But I still think there's a massive part that humans play, the relationships that you have with, say, someone like yourself. If I'm buying through you or you're advising me to do this, I still trust you. There's a trust element, but also you as a person. Like, would I recommend Matt to my friends, my family? Like, would I recommend AI? Yeah, definitely to help you along the way, but to close that deal, it's definitely that human interaction is so important.
Yeah, and I think it's also emotional guidance, being able to talk someone through managing their emotions. Like we spoke before the cameras started rolling about first home buyers. Like we have a first home buyer business, purchase homes, and it's a lot more emotional for first home buyers because they haven't experienced it before. It's a first time thing. Like you talking about when you started in the industry 13 years ago, like you didn't know what you were doing. Like it takes time to understand that. And I've seen in some of your stats with the market update, it's how long it takes first home buyers to commit. And it's a lot longer than other purchases, it makes sense. But and a human can pick up the phone and solve a problem when it arises or if it arises. And I think that's a big thing that humans want
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So open lot, obviously we understand now works with developers. So you've got access to all of the land developments across most of the country by the sounds of it at this stage, which is great, especially the East Coast. Tell us about builders. So you mentioned townhouse sites, builders that you work with as well, so people can understand more about who's building in an area or what's available. Is that accurate or?
To a certain degree. So
Yep.
we've always been really focused on land developers and
Yep.
showcasing the housing developments. And then when we deal with those developers, that sales team on a particular development, let's say a Mervac Smiths Lane, right? If you go to our site, you'll find that it's in Clyde North. You drill down into Smiths Lane, you click on it. The sales team or the Mervac team can actually upload the individual land listings that they've got. So they might have a particular stage release that they're selling. It showcases if it's titled, or if it's settling in, it might not title to start building on later this year. But also price points. They have those lots, but then they can also put up house and land listings themselves. So they would have been packages that, a builder has gone in and said, hey, we've packaged up this amount on these lots. Can you showcase it to your marketing channels? And that could be any builder. It could be a Metricon, it could be a Sheridan, Simmons, etc., or Henley, as well as smaller builders, H&L, etc. Or they can put up townhouses as well.
Yep.
So depending on who that is, a lot of the time, Soho are doing a lot, Home Buyer Centre,
Yeah.
Maple Livings of the world. That those listings can come up there, and that's driven by the land developer. But we are moving into a space where we're going to allow, or we already are, but it's going through beta testing at the moment, trial phase, builders to actually upload their own house and land listings.
Right.
Now, this is something that we're really, really excited about because not only is the content going to increase, it's also going to give buyers more of an opportunity to see house and land packages in more regions as well. So, as Simmons of the world might upload 500 listings, and that's all across Victoria, and that can be anywhere from Mildura down to Lakes Entrance, down to their build regions within the metro, etc. So, from a buyer's position, more content is going to give them an opportunity to go, hey, we can actually build, that 4-bedroom home. Here's an example of a Simmons, a Metricon, whoever they decide to build with.
I do remember. Well, I don't think it's controversial, but I do remember, especially in the REA, the earlier days of REA as well, when you'd see a lot of house and land packages advertised, and you could never really tell how accurate they were. Like it was kind of like hey, here's this car for 10 grand. Oh, but it doesn't come with a steering wheel. Oh, it doesn't come with wheels, or it doesn't. And I remember that causing quite a bit of conflict, especially for us. Like I've been in this space since 2010, 2009 or something. And it's like we would have people say, oh, yeah, but I can get this for that. And it's like, oh, yeah, you can, but it's not really going to be a finished house. So it'd be good to see if that, evolves and develops through your platform as well. Like,
That's an interesting one. I think that still plays out in today's
mm,
landscape, unfortunately.
hence why I say I hope that it evolves.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. I'm not sure how you manage that because
Mm,
what your inclusions as builder A versus builder B inclusions can really vary.
yeah,
But ultimately, as a listings portal, particularly first home buyers, their preference is the lowest price.
yeah,
They want to if they see that 4 bedroom, two car, two bath, and it's 550. That's what they're looking at. They're probably the two variables. When you start talking to the builder and you start understanding what's included, one thing is really handy that you can do, and this is using AI, and this is actually Darren Brennan
mm,
shared this with me, and I've been saying it ever since because I think it's a great idea, particularly if you're a first home buyer or an investor or just looking to buy new.
yeah,
You can actually ask the builders that you're working with to send me the brochure or the deck, which will have all the inclusions, and you've got builder A and builder B, and you can actually put it into AI and upload it and say, tell me what
analyze it for me.
analyze the whole thing
Wow.
and tell me what the inclusions and which builder do you think would be better, if they're the same price or however you decide to prompt it,
Wow.
and it will actually spit out the differences, which I think is really, really cool for a buyer because you're probably not going to go through the 30 pages of what that builder sent to you. You're going to pick out, probably look at the visuals, go, wow, that looks great. But, there could be things in there that could be quite helpful in your research.
It's painstaking. It's
Yeah.
going through a specifications list.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
full on.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. I'm getting ideas for our business as you're saying these things. It's I mean we're actually evolving into AI a fair bit more at the moment. We've got some pretty cool applications that we're bringing into our business soon, which will be. I'm really interested to see how it plays out, and I think it's going to add a lot of value to our business, but hopefully to people who inquire and people who've inquired in the past as well. And the AI is basically a human on the phone and talks to them for us. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, the world is changing quickly.
Yeah, I think if you look back, we've been testing a few different AI applications as well, and we tried one. Oh, it would have been 6 months, maybe a little bit longer,
Mm.
and we found that the voice, it was you could tell it was AI, and it was a little bit clunky, and we kind of thought, okay, we'll leave that, and then we've been looking at another one more recently, and it's how far it's come in such a short time, and you can change the accents, and
Yeah,
you were talking to American, and then you can prompt it with changing it to a completely different accent, an Australian accent, and it comes across like you can have a conversation. And
yeah,
you there is a slight second in like delay where you can tell maybe it's AI, but when they're talking, they're still like the intonation and kind of the tone, and you know they're stopping and pausing and go, okay, yeah, sure, okay, no, that makes sense, Matt. No, and it's really interesting
yeah.
to hear that because it's going to get to a point where someone will be able to mimic your voice,
Mm,
and I won't be able to tell whether it's you or AI.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good thing because I think it helps consumers too. Like for example, like we have access to some really good products. The challenge that we have is that we need to get our products in front of more people.
Mm,
And if people don't know about them, we can't explain how they work. And if we can and they see it and they love it, it's like, cool, we've just helped another person, as you said before.
yeah,
It's not a role, it's a duty of helping other people. And if they can see it, then that's an advantage. And
yeah,
and then more people can benefit. Because I think, and we'll talk about some stats and stuff, but my mission is to get people into more property. Like property is easily, the most valuable asset that's owned in Australia. We know that by 3 or 4 times, I think, compared to superannuation as number two. But I think the challenge is there's too much wealth in the family home and not enough in, extra properties, investments and whatnot. So, but anyway, that's my mission. So, new neighborhoods. So I've got it up on
Yes.
the screen in front of me. You're going to commercial television.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Really, really
cool.
exciting.
Are you going to be on it? You've got a bit of a TV personality, I
No, I think I
reckon.
might give this one a miss.
No,
We want the first season to work, so I don't think I'll show my head on this
you
one.
need a
But
special guest, mate. I'm here. I'm available.
perfect. Okay, well, we'll give you a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah, new neighborhoods that kind of came off the back of looking at consumer sentiment and the focus on builders going under and things like that.
Yeah.
We've passed a lot of that. That was quite challenging a couple of years ago, and we spoke about say your Porter Davis and the ripple effect that has had on the industry. But for us, we really want to showcase, as I said, all of the housing developments across Australia, but really shine a light on these communities that sit in where these housing estates are. So we created a pilot. We went out and filmed. In this case, it was Berwick. Got to speak to the developers. So in this case, it was Stockland Minter. Spoke with the Stockland team. Also interviewed Ben Smorelli from Fem Fairhaven, which was great. Took us through their home designs, and then we also went and spoke to residents in those communities and heard why they purchased in those communities. One gentleman said, he got a growing family. The schools are great around there. They're looking to reinvest there because they've obviously made some equity in it in their purchase. And then others, plays cricket down the road, and all his mates are there, and it's easy for him to get to work and freeway access and things like that. So, and then further to that, we kind of stepped out and went and spoke to actual people in the community. So interviewed business owners and people in the street, and then have put together this TV show, and that was the pilot. And then that's been picked up by a production company now, and today actually is filming our first episode, which I just got sent photos before behind the scenes, which is
You're not
really
there,
exciting.
mate. You've been dragged away to hang out with me.
I have. Thankfully, it's in New South Wales, so no, I was able to attend this. But yeah, we've got
Your wife and kids will be happy.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
The longer I can be at home, the better. But yeah, we've got Walt Collins and Emmy Lou who are hosting.
Yep.
But yeah, really excited to bring that to market. That's coming to air later this year around spring, and that will run for 8 episodes. We're doing earmarked 3 episodes in New South Wales, 3 for Victoria, and a couple for Queensland.
Beautiful.
And yeah, really we've got obviously developers involved and builders involved in each, but yeah, just want to give people who may not have been out to these communities. We call it greenfield, but greenfield is essentially what used to be paddock is now turning into suburbia to where homes are being built. And we know that there's some amazing places out there that probably don't get the good rap that they should. So this is shining a light on it. But yeah, we're really excited to bring that to market and give people an opportunity to see I can actually build a home. I can go out and build my 4-bedroom dream home in these places and know that they're going to be supported and surrounded by some really beautiful communities.
I think you made a really good point earlier before the cameras were on about people living in inner city locations like Richmond in Melbourne, for example, or South Melbourne or wherever it is, and just really not knowing these communities that might be an hour drive in peak hour traffic or whatever it is, but giving them a bit more exposure to understand the ins and outs and the feel and the community vibe and those kind of things about these areas. So I think it's a really good idea, and obviously we'll bring a lot more awareness to what you guys do. And education is key, in my opinion. So more awareness in that respect is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's and I agree. And when we were talking about different family situations, like Richmond is great. I mentioned I was in Richmond and had a great time there, but if you're wanting to bring up a family, you're probably looking to have. You're not looking. I was in a 2-bedroom apartment at the time, and we had a small balcony, but if I'm bringing up a family, do I want that? Yeah, there might be some families that do want that, but I think there's probably a lot of families or couples that they want more space. They want the backyard. They want the front yard. And the extra bedrooms and double car garage and things like that.
Yeah, it's just a different demographic, isn't it? You want different things in different stages of life, and yeah, it's great to get more awareness about these areas that you might not go and see unless you see it in shows like this. Or
Yeah, and you really, I think, before this show, you're relying on the fact of, do you have any friends or family out there? Maybe, maybe not. And if you don't, how do you actually get a feel for
yeah,
what the community is like? And this is the perfect platform for it.
yeah. Very exciting, mate. I wish you all the best with it. And I actually don't watch much free to air television. I don't watch any television really these days, but I'll make an effort to
Perfect.
check that out.
I'll send you the link as well, some behind the scenes to
Sounds good.
get you ready for it.
Sounds good. Maybe we can get this podcast on Channel 9 at some point.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Today could be the day.
Maybe this episode will boost us up the rankings.
Absolutely.
No, that's good, mate. I believe, are you still doing a fair bit in the education space with OpenLight? Like we've done a fair bit in the past together from an educational standpoint. What's happening in that respect at the moment?
Yeah, good question. So for us, not only are we building the platform to showcase listings, showcase land lots, and what builders are doing, like what packages they've got, but if you go to OpenLot, there's actually an area on the site which has a lot of educational pieces that you can read up on. So whether it's the buy fair property information,
They're really good, those ones.
No, absolutely. No, I can. Whilst I sit here and in front of you, they genuinely are really, really great detail. Particularly if you're not sure what to do, it's a really good starting point if you go through and read some of those documents that you've got there. So you can download them off OpenLot or request to get them. There's also we syndicate some of the information from the Home Building Hub, which is a similar podcast, but for them, yeah, they're trying to bust any myths around, why buy new, or they go through a number of different topics which are highly relevant to buyers if you're unsure. So we've got some really, really good pieces in there that you can use in your research phase. If you're a first home buyer and investor, there's some great topics that they cover, and also yourself. You should be ready to go to buy pretty much straight away once you've read some of those pieces on there.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Look, I think education is really important for investors, for first home buyers, for people that want to learn more. And we've just tried to simplify, what we teach, because I think people, the jargon can be confusing sometimes. So
Yeah.
the simpler it is to understand and decipher, the better, in my opinion. So your latest monthly update on land inquiry, etc., has just come out recently, I
It
believe.
has, yes. We've been busy working away, putting together all of the information that we've collated from Q1. So January, February, March of this year, 2025.
Right.
So we put together this update. We share it with all of our key customers, but what it is, it's a collation of information looking at all of our traffic trends, inquiry trends, buyer preferences. One thing that is really quite unique to OpenLot is our platform. REA is fantastic in terms of a general sense, and they do have a lot of really great data, but it does sometimes get skewed towards a lot of residential or established homes, whereas our laser focus is on new homes, so new home buyers coming through. So with that, we also, when someone goes through to make an inquiry, we can we prompt them with filling out a buyer profile. And what's really surprising, we get it fluctuates, but let's call it an arbitrary number of 10,000 leads. It's slightly more than that, but say 10,000 leads a month. Around 60% of those leads will fill out a buyer profile. So that buyer profile, what type of buyer they are first home buyer, upsizer, downsizer, etc. If they've got any land size preferences or settlement times that they're looking to do, if they're building, do they want to build double story? Is it 4 or 5 bedrooms? Have they got any other, they want north facing? There's all this other information that is pulled from that, and also build budgets and time frame to purchase. So what we do, we collate all of that information or data, and then we can start building out trends for each state. So we do this quarterly, and what's been really interesting, we spoke about it briefly at the start, but we're sitting around, it fluctuates, but up to 130,000 unique users coming to our site each month.
That's my next question. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's a lot. It's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. That's yeah. What's that? A full MCG and plus another 30%. So
It's
you
a
can.
good MCG crowd.
That is
They're
yeah.
hanging off the rafters at the
I,
top.
you know, I would argue that it's a normal Richmond crowd, but
Not these days.
no, maybe circa 2018, 2019. But yeah, so there's a lot of eyeballs that are looking at our platform, and for us, we've grown from that's increased exponentially over the last few years, in particular, and it's probably eased somewhat in terms of new buyers coming in, because there's obviously challenges with interest rates, and interest rates have been going up. Yes, we did see a rate cut Feb 18th, earlier this year, which is great, but it hasn't really changed. It's not that silver bullet. I think we've still got a long way to go before more and more buyers come to market. But one thing that we have seen is that positivity has meant that there's people that are searching, and we saw a spike in the Feb numbers coming through, and that's probably it's eased back in March. But the buyers that are coming through now are more genuine in the sense that they have an idea of what they can actually borrow. If you go back to when interest rates were going up, the feedback that we got from a lot of developers were, these borrowers are inquiring, but they can't afford it, because they weren't sure. If interest rates keep going up, then what does their borrowing capacity look like? And I think now, it's been a while. We kind of know where we're at. It's nothing new, and we see around, like depending on the area, probably 10 to 15% are pre-approval ready. And normally you'd see if they're pre-approval ready, they're normally going to buy in the next 3 months. So that is one thing that we are watching, in terms of a bit of a leading indicator for how the market is, because if you start to see an improvement in pre-approval, it means they're getting closer to buy and obviously feel more comfortable with the way the market is.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like we're definitely seeing a similar thing. It's like we're actually not getting as much inquiry at the moment. However, we're seeing conversion be quite a bit higher. So people that are inquiring are actually, hey, we're inquiring for a reason.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And we want to do something, which is encouraging. So high level, I won't go through each of the pages of the report because there's a lot in there, and it's we'd be happy to share the report with our network too. It's a really insightful document, so you've done a great job on it.
Cheers.
For starters, and I would imagine it's very very helpful for companies, for developers and builders and whatnot as well. But what are you seeing high level? So the things that I'm always interested in, and our listeners, this is an investment podcast predominantly. What are you seeing from, I don't expect you to remember the exact number, but what are you seeing from investor activity, first home buyers, owner occupiers? Like, where are we sort of sitting? I have seen investor activity increase based on your report, which is good.
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
As a whole, if we looked at the data there, we do break it down into council regions, but as a whole for Victoria, owner occupiers still make up a majority of the inquiry coming through. So sitting at, I think that says 46% or around there.
You've got good eyes. It's too far away for me to see.
Yeah, so it's around 46% of the inquiry that comes through is owner occupiers, and that is made up of owner upsizers, downsizers, and subsequent buyers. We then have investors, which make up around 17%, and that does fluctuate between it can be as low as 13%, but 20%. Now this is all of Victoria. And then for first home buyers, it's around 33% of the market that we see is coming through that have identified as first home buyers. The other one that we do capture is buyers advocates. So it could be someone like yourself who could be buying on behalf of one of your clients, or builders. That's one thing that has picked up. A lot more builders have started to inquire to try and acquire or buy sites so that they can actually build spec homes. So for the audience out there, spec homes is when a builder buys a block of land, actually builds the house and gets it turnkey ready. So, it's almost like an established house in a sense. But the reason why they're doing that is because the consumers or the buyers out there a concern that a builder might go under or their build cost might go up. So what this is really mitigating that risk. A builder is going out building it. Yes, it might not be the perfect color scheme that you were looking for, or maybe fixtures and fittings weren't exactly what you wanted. But reality is, if it's built, then there's certainty. It's less risk.
Yeah, it's bird in the hand kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
Here's one we prepared earlier.
Correct. Yeah. And it's really interesting. Like, if you look back, Henley were doing I'm using Henley as an example because I worked with them when I was at REA, and back in the day, they used to do that ready built product. They were, and some of the other builders may have been doing that as well, but I was more privy to that one, and it didn't work that well because all of those things I mentioned, it was you're telling someone that this is the facade or this is the fixtures fitting and color scheme. So back then, people had a lot of choice and would go, I don't want that. I'm happy to build new, and this is what I want. Whereas now, the market's completely changed. There's, as I said, more certainty. I'm happy to make some, considerations here, and it's not perfect at the moment, but we can move into a house and we can start paying off that mortgage. So, I think it's really interesting that with the way the market is and the environment that you sit in, how it can really change people's behaviors and buying behaviors.
Once again, we spoke before that the cameras are rolling about timing the market and how particular some people, especially first home buyers probably, but how particular they can be on understanding exactly what's going on and where it's going to be and what are interest rates going to do and what's Trump going to do next. And it's like timing the market is not really something that anyone can 100% with confidence do, to be fair. I mean, we can look at the data and the information available and make an educated decision. But it's time in the market that really counts. The longer that you have assets, the better you're going to do, essentially. But what is your take on where we're at? Like interest rates, the market in general. Let's talk about Victoria. Obviously, Australia's a big landscape. We're based in Victoria. What do you see high level? And I will hold you to it. You're on camera. So if you get it wrong, we're just going to come back and come down on you.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And yeah, we did have a chat about this. I think my view is, now is a really good time to buy. And let me be clear, like we work with a number of clients, a number of developers, and you might argue that, I've got to be pretty positive about the market, but take emotion out of it and look at the fundamentals, like particularly here in Victoria, if you're buying Metro Greenfield, there's always going to be population growth. There's always going to be demand that is coming through. But ultimately, right now, if you're going out, whether you want to buy in the southeast, north, the west, Geelong, even Ballarat, if that's what you want to buy in those areas, there are some really good deals out there at the moment. Like, you're right. People are waiting. It's almost analysis paralysis. People are waiting for, what interest rates are doing or what the media wrote about. The RBA are going to hold the cash rate and things like that. And I woke up this morning and Trump's paused tariffs, right? So a couple of days ago, everyone's talking about interest rates going down and we're going to have these cuts. And now maybe that doesn't happen. So what do? Do we keep waiting? But I think if you're in a position now and you want to buy somewhere and you can afford it, there are some really good deals in the sense that, like, depending on the area, 30K rebates on a lot of lots. There are a number of developers out there who are pushing 30, 40K rebates on particular land lots, and that's titled lots. So for the audience, titled lots are basically ready to be built on. Once you buy it, you can
got your roads, your lights, your gutters, and everything in place.
Yeah, you can get started straight away building your dream home. So if you think about, if I can get $30,000-$40,000 off, there's development in Ballarat that I mentioned that it's 60K off particular lots. Like that 60K or 40K depending on where you're buying, you probably interest rates aren't going to move too much. So if you can take advantage of that now, I think it's a great opportunity to get into the market. And then there's also builders out there that have some pretty good deals at the moment and offerings, spend 10K and get $50,000 worth of upgrades and a few others. So, yeah, what my view is now is a really good time to buy, regardless of kind of the, geopolitical issues and then what Trump's doing with tariffs. But if you keep waiting for interest rates, we could be 3 years down the track where, now we're ready to go because we're happy where interest rates are. Where, at the start, you might need to push yourself a little bit to make those repayments, but the reward down the track is going to be tenfold.
It's always a sacrifice. Like people talk about it, and it probably is harder to get into property now than it was, say, 30 years ago. But and that shows by the percentage of people under the age of 35 that are getting into the market. But I think it probably also comes down to a mindset thing. Like people don't want to stretch themselves financially. It's like, well, you know, the previous generations did do that as well. Like it looks easy now because, oh, it's easy for you. You've had property for 30 years. It's like, yeah, but that was tough then as well.
Mm.
And if you do, we're very focused on helping people find those kind of opportunities as well. And if we can get 30, 40, 50 grand into a block and build something that gives you that equity straight away, it's like all of a sudden the doors can start opening up. It's like, and it's when the bank starts knocking on your door going, hey, like we want to give you a bit more money here. And let's use those other people's money, which we call it OPM, to then start building a little bit more wealth, to start having more assets and start being that landlord as opposed to just being a tenant. And that's when opportunities open up for people. And that's what I love about property so much. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is have a think about, these offers right now. Do you think they'll be here in 12 months? Probably not.
And it's always big picture. I think I like that approach and outlook, and I try and do that with people from a 10-year standpoint. It's like, hey guys, we might hurt a little bit right now, but what do you think will be the case in 10 years? But then also flip that and say, what do you think the case will be in 10 years if we're still having this conversation and nothing's changed and you haven't done anything? Do you think you'll be in a better position? The answer is usually no. So short-term pain, long-term gain, I don't think it's different for anyone.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Mate, it's been so good having you on board. I think we've sort of stretched it longer than what we normally do, but it's been such an interesting listening to you talk about Open Lot, what you guys are doing yourself, what's happening with the market. Is there anything that you want to finish off with? Is there anything else that you want to add or talk about before we go?
Good question. Look, yeah, obviously, thank you for having me. I think for us, OpenLot is a platform that for buyers is a great tool for your research and to go and have a look at different areas that you're looking to buy in. And there is a lot of data that they can do. We obviously touched on the buy fair information that sits on there as well. But from a reporting standpoint or a metric standpoint, you can come to our platform and find out more information about that area. So if you are a first home buyer, an investor, even an owner occupier, and you are looking to move into that new home space, so whether it's house land or townhouses, jump onto OpenLot and hopefully there's enough information there that puts you in a position to make an informed decision.
I think there's definitely enough information on there. It's you've definitely done that really well. So I congratulate you on that, and we look forward to working with you on OpenLot a lot more into the future as well. And I will chuck on Channel 9 end of May, was it?
It's going to be airing. So it's filming now.
Yeah.
It's starting to film all the episodes. So it's airing in spring.
Great.
So September.
Oh, a bit later. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Well, Ryan, great to have you on board. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed the listen. You can listen to it on Spotify or all of the podcast platforms. It'll be on YouTube and our social medias as well. As always, be brave, go above and beyond, and back yourself. If you need any help from us, buyfairproperty.com.au. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Property Now podcast with Matt Elol. We hope you learned something valuable and enjoyed the show. Should you wish to reach out to us, you can do so by calling 1300 289 324, or you're welcome to email Matt at hello@buyfairproperty.com.au, and he'll be more than happy to help however he can. Have a great day.